Revit materials. You can change the Revit materials when you're in a editing the type of roof or wall or any other entity that allows you to have materials. But you can adjust the materials on the Manage tab. So if we go up top here to Manage, you come over here to Materials, pick Materials. It'll bring up the material browser. So in here there's a bunch of already preloaded materials that you could choose from. As you probably noticed in the other videos, I was always creating a materials that I wanted to use. So to create a material, you can come down here to the Create New Material. So it's on the very bottom. There's a little sphere with a plus on it. If you click on that, it'll give you an option to create new material or duplicate selected material. And we'll hit Create New Material. It'll create this default new material. If you right click on it, you can rename it to whatever you want. And in the past we did the lap siding or the shake ceiling, and we'll just call it a test material for now. We can just, so you can hit click, rename, type, and then enter when you're done. So once you've created your material, you can adjust what it looks like on this bar next to it. There's also an Appearance tab, which you can have what it looks like when it renders. Gives you a little sample here. And you can change some other settings in here. We won't get too much into this because we just want to use the basic Revit materials that we're gonna use an example here. So in the previous videos, you probably saw me over here changing the cut pattern. It allows you to have a foreground and a background, so that you can change what the color of the background is. So if you wanted it to be shaded, you could select a light gray, and the foreground, likely you'd want it to be black so it shows up on top of the gray. Then pick None, where it says the pattern says None, and then you can choose the drafting pattern. For the cut, you can only choose a drafting pattern. A model pattern is grayed out, and that's because the model pattern is an actual defined pattern by lengths. And we saw that when we were creating the shake ceiling, is that we used, the siding, where we gave it a 6-inch lines, and those are actually 6-inch lines, and they will stay 6-inch lines as you zoom in or out or change the scale. But with these drafting patterns, they will scale as you change the scale. They will get denser or less dense. So for this, we can choose a concrete hatch pattern, or any of these patterns. We'll just choose concrete. And then here's the surface pattern. So the cut pattern is what it looks like when it's cut. The surface pattern is what it looks like. So in a plan view, the cut pattern will show up, or a reflected ceiling plan. Anytime you're in a section plan, something that cuts through the object you've applied this material to, this is what the pattern will look like. It will be a concrete when it's cut through it. Here on this background, I didn't set it to solid. Let's do that right now. So this will give us, the background will be this light gray, and the foreground cut pattern will be this concrete hatch pattern. So on the surface pattern is what it looks like if you're looking at a straight on. And so you can do the same thing. Pick a background. And the background doesn't have to be solid. It could be anything that you want that's available. So let's click this black. And we can choose any of these patterns that we wanted. So let's click this crosshatch, and let's click this change the color to red. And then here's the surface pattern. So the surface pattern, we can do the same thing. So let's say we wanted to pick black and concrete again of the surface pattern. This could know like a protected area of concrete if you wanted to do that. Texture alignment, it just allows you to adjust where the pattern is relative to where it renders. So you could adjust this. For this pattern there isn't any option, so we can just hit cancel. And so now we've created this concrete pattern. When you have a surface pattern, the option for model is also selected, is available. So we could make a model pattern which would give us actually actual dimension pattern that we can align, as we saw when we were aligning the siding on the house that I was working on. To edit one of these, you can come down here, you can hit edit the fill pattern. You can have a new fill pattern, or you can delete a fill pattern, or you can duplicate. So let's duplicate this block pattern just to see what the option is. And here they show it as a block 8 by 17, and it's a custom pattern. And so you would have to go do that pattern outside of Revit and then bring it in. So you can browse, find your pattern, and bring it in. For some of these basic patterns, if you were to edit the pattern, they're not a custom pattern, they're just a basic pattern which allows you to define line spacing, you give it an angle, and if you click crosshatch, it will give you a crosshatched pattern instead of just a single line pattern. Or if you had to change the line angle to 90 degrees or 45 degrees, it will change the look of the pattern. And these will, in your views, these will be actually 8 inches apart. So let's hit cancel because we don't want to change that pattern. And we'll hit cancel again just to leave this all the same. The other thing that you can do when you're creating a pattern, so we've got our surface pattern and our cut pattern set. You can come down here to the bottom left and hover over this third box from the left. It's called open and close the asset browser. So if you select that, it'll bring your asset browser up, and then you have a bunch of physical material libraries that you can choose from. But these are all like the different country. There must be patterns specific to those different regions. But you can just go to the appearance library. And for this, I want to pick concrete. So I'm going to click concrete down here. You can click cast in place or go to the main concrete. And we can pick a concrete like rendering pattern. So let's see. Let's just apply this concrete pattern. Let's just stretch out this window so we can see. If you hover over the edge of most windows, you can stretch it. And then if you come up to the top and get the little double arrows left to the right and the little bar, you can stretch these wider so you can see a little bit more information. And you can select the different patterns that you want to show. So just pick this weather stain brown just so we can see what it looks like. So once you've selected a pattern, you can apply it to one of your materials. So when this asset browser is open, you can still pick and change what you've selected. So you want to select the material you want to apply the material to. Come over here, pick the material, and on the far right you can see this little double arrow, and it replaces the appearance with this concrete polish brown. So if you click that, now we can see, we can close this browser, it's applied to this finish, this appearance to our concrete. And then here's a little image of what it should look like when it's rendering. So now we can hit OK, and we've created a material. You can apply that to a wall, material, floor, anything that has a material. So here, if we selected this roof and we went to edit type, and then under edit structure, and applied this material that we just made instead of the shake roof, we can choose, what do we call it, test material. We can apply it there, come down, hit OK, and press enter, OK, and OK again, and now we can see that this applied that concrete hatch to that material. So here, if we don't see the appearance that we had applied, but that depends on the setting. So here we have it set to, if you go down to the bottom here for the detail level, or I'm sorry, not the detail level, but the visual style. If you go to shaded, you can see it's shaded, but it still has that concrete hatch pattern. Consistent colors, and then finally realistic colors. Now it's going to grind for a little bit because it's now trying to apply a realistic color to your model. You would only use this realistic color, for when you're doing a rendering. So basically you would get your view all set up, and then you would print or render a drawing, which we can go over later. But that's what that appearance part is on the rendering. So you can see how it's showing that brown, what was it called? That weathered, stained brown concrete. So we can cancel out of that. Now we can go back into the roof, edit the type, change it back from test material to our roof shake. And you see it has the values that we had set before, and this is the appearance. If we were to render it, it's going to have this. It's going to use this image and have a shake roof. So we've left it in the realistic. So when we hit OK, it should change our roof back to the shake roof, but now it's going to give us our shake material that we applied. So we can come back down here to the bottom under visual style, pick that, and then go back to hidden. And then you can see now we can move pretty easily without it grinding, getting a whirlpool of death there. So that's pretty much all there is to creating material. Once you've created a material, you can apply it to various objects. So even if we wanted to create a beam, we'll zoom in. So I'm just using the scroll wheel to zoom in. I use the beam command to place a beam. I'm on the roof plan, and as you can see, it's placing it at the top plate, so we're looking down on it. That's why it shows up. If you try to place a beam in a different plane, it might not show up depending on the view you're in. So if we select the beam, edit type, let's see here, oh, interesting. So in this beam family, the material, so see how I went to edit type and there was no material. We hit cancel. Some families have the material setting in the properties palette. This means you can have different materials for different instances. So this instance, we could have a different material. So you can see we can hit structural material. We could change it to, let's just change it to parking stripe, which should make it, well, it'll only make it yellow in the shading. See, it won't show anything else. We'll choose that wood shake, just so that roof shake, so that we can just see what it looks like. And now our beam looks like it's a roof element. So let's go check it out in the 3D view. You can see it place those beams at the top plate, and now it has a material of the shake roof. Notice it didn't change this one, because this one, it is, when options are here in the properties palette, those are instance specific properties, so they would only change the instance. If there are properties in the edit type, it will change the entire type. So all of the beams, if the material was located in here, would be the same pattern if the material was in the edit type, because that means it's not an instance parameter, it is a global parameter that will change it. So we can delete these, and that should do it if for the material. Obviously there could be a lot more to it, but for our uses here, that's pretty much it. So let's call this good. All right, let me know if you have any questions, please. Thank you.